DowCom, which I don't know why you guys are really here. I was just informed this morning that HP, who's supposed to be our visitors next week, due to a scheduling issue, can't make it. So we're going to turn next week into our SAP Fast Break event. Basically, Fast Break is this really big informational meeting. We invite a lot of professors to talk. We have some interns who have been part of the group to talk. We talk about career possibilities. So if you have any friends who you want to show off your major to and be like, look what I'm doing, I'm awesome, I'm going to get a job, you should do it too. Bring your friends. It's going to be a really big event, hopefully. 2, if you guys are interested in holding an e-board position, what we've decided to do is, instead of holding elections for e-board positions next semester at the end of spring, we're going to hold them at our last meeting this semester. And the newly elected e-board will kind of shadow the current e-board, so that when they start next semester, they kind of have an idea of what's going on and don't just get thrown into it with a lot of forms and data and stuff that's not easy to do. So we're going to be holding those, so if you think you might want to hold a position or you want to know more information about it, talk to any of us. We'll be looking for people who are super eager. East Lansing and Chicago. The East Lansing registration and Chicago registration are both open on the ASUG site. You guys have gotten my emails about registering. I think we had like 21 people who filled out the Google Doc form for the Chicago registration. So if you're still interested in that, I'm going to leave that registration open until Friday. And then I need a hard, and then that's going to be the people who are taking to Chicago. And then we'll talk about when money's due for that. East Lansing, I don't know if PJ sent an email out or not. If you register for East Lansing, register on the ASUG site. There's going to be a quick little Google Doc form. I just need your name and global ID to confirm that you registered and that we're taking you. So I have a count of the kind of people we're taking to East Lansing. Sure should be in like a week or 2, I guess. Yeah. Anything else?
You have to sign up online for the ASUG website.
Yeah, the ASUG website, sign up, register for the event. You have to create an account on the actual ASUG event to go. Otherwise, you'll show up and it'll be like name. You'll say your name, and they won't have a name tag for you, and it's a big hassle. It's happened to us last year. It was not good. So, all right, so that's all I want to talk to you guys about. I'm going to give Dow the rest of their time. Guys, it's a great company. It's literally right up the road. And biggest SAP implementation, right?
Yep, largest SAP implementation in the world.
So,
right now.
I would pay attention to this. So, Dow.
Okay, so just a little bit of an agenda here. We're going to do some team member introductions, and then we'll give you an overview of what the Dow Chemical Company is all about. And then we're mainly going to focus on our current Dow IT initiatives. And then we want to spend a lot of time with questions and whatever you guys want to talk about. We're here.
Yeah, just a short 30-minute presentation. Hopefully we'll get through it. And then a lot of the time we want to devote to the question and answer piece for you guys. Mike.
All right, so I'll start and then I'll sit back down and let the more recent CMU grads that you probably want to hear from talk more. My name is Mike Summers. I've been at Dow for 26 years. I'm the director of what we call tech management, so that's the infrastructure part of our build organization. So for our SAP deployment we're going to talk about, it's my team that's responsible to put all the hardware down, operating system, the database, and things of that nature. The SAP basis area would be my space as well. I've worked in SAP for a long time. I started in about 91 and worked in SAP ever since over the last 20-some years or so. Right, so my role from a CMU standpoint is I'm what they call the engagement leader. So I don't do the recruiting here, but I'm responsible for the Dow IS IT or relationship with Central Michigan. So I'm here and I meet with Dr. Smart, Dr. Miller, Dr. Andre, and some of the others on a relatively regular basis. All right, look forward to talking to some of you later.
Hello everyone, I'm Matt Bowles. I graduated from CMU in 2010 with a major in management of information systems. I think they've changed now, it's just information systems. Yeah. Okay. My current role as a service specialist, it's part of the rotational program, so when I actually do the rotational program, we'll cover more of that later. And that's my second rotation. It's my fourth year here at Dow, and I graduated. When I graduated, I had the TERT 10 certification, and it was the concentration in SAP. The two roles that I've had at Dow, so when I first joined, I jumped into their SAP ECC implementation, which, like I said, is the largest in the world. And I was focused primarily in the environment, health, and safety module, so the EHS. You guys probably don't have much training on that, so it's brilliant. And the second role was real-time collaboration specialist, so that's my current role I'm in now. It has to deal with the real-time collaboration tools that Dow enables and uses to communicate globally. So email, our meeting applications, IM, all that kind of stuff.
I'm Chelsea Kupar, and I graduated from CMU in 2012 with the Information Systems degree with the SAP concentration. So my role at Dow is called an Innovate and Improve Specialist within the finance area of the business. This is my third year at Dow. I did the TERT 10 certification too, and in 2011 I was an intern, and then after I interned I was offered a full-time position, which was pretty nice. So my senior year was relatively stress-free. But the majority of my work is on the SAP ECC implementation in the finance, cost accounting area. And I also work on projects for business planning consolidation. It's also a SAP software. And I've done projects for the Dow corporate reporting, as well as the Dow AgriScience business, and a couple other Dow businesses.
So our mission and our vision is big at Dow. Our mission is to passionately create innovation for our stakeholders at the intersection of chemistry, biology, and physics. It's not just chemistry. Our vision is to be the most valuable and respected science company in the world. It's been a little bit revamped since last year. We added science company. I think next we have a short video to show you guys. Audio.
Yeah, pause right there.
There you go. as you can see from that video, Dow plays a pretty key role in almost every aspect of your life. Right? Almost every sector, at least something. The key markets whom we're driving for, so as part of Dow's accelerated strategy, the company is narrowing its focus into high-margin, high-growth areas, automotive, food packaging, adhesives, electronics, all the things you saw in the video. Collectively, these actions are driving us to a sustainable long-term growth for the company. Actually, I have a spiel I'm going to read directly from this for you guys, so I didn't memorize it all. Dow was founded more than 100 years ago by Herbert H. Dow, who invented a new method of extracting the bromine that was tapped underground in brine in Midland. We are headquartered in Midland, now employing approximately 53,000 people worldwide and serving customers in approximately 180 countries. We manufacture over 6,000 products in 36 countries, and last year we achieved sales of $57 billion. Now Chelsea's going to go into... No, go ahead.
So you guys know what SAP ECC software is, right? Because we did some of your classes. So that's what the largest IT program at Dow has been for since 2008.
2008 or 9? Yeah.
In implementing SAP ECC. And as you know, it is the integration of all of the SAP modules so Dow can get their business.
Yeah, so we can sell and make money.
And so the program at Dow is called NEA, or Next Enterprise Architecture. And to just kind of put it in perspective, here was our implementation timeline. It's still ongoing, but we kind of did the implementation in pieces. And starting in 2009 with the Rosenhaus milestone, and that was a company Dow had bought, and they were on R3. So they wanted to get them on ECC first, and then we did milestone 2 in Latin America, and milestone 3 was Asia Pacific, and then we did milestone 4 and 5, which was Europe and North America at the same time. And kind of currently we're doing some projects with remaining joint ventures and ongoing development. You know, you can always streamline the processes, and some things got missed along the way with the tight time.
The key thing to note from this slide is that beyond 2014, we do have SAP work. It's not over. Our NEA, our project is complete, but we do have ongoing development and activities, as Chelsea mentioned. We did leave a lot out, so the project didn't take into account everything. So we're going back now, looking at what we left out, how can we improve. And then we also have joint ventures in which we want to bring into the NEA platform.
Yeah, maybe one additional comment there, because that's a question you get a lot. You know, we spent close to $1 billion over the last 5 or 6 years to implement this. So most people might think, well, there's nothing left to do. Well, we did the same thing. If you remember, when I introduced myself, I said I started working on SAP back in 1991 on the R2 mainframe-based version, which none of you have ever seen, and that's okay. And so we got done implementing that in about 1996, and so everybody asked the same type of question. Well, there's nothing to do. We're all done. I was gainfully employed and very, very busy for the next 9 years optimizing that, putting new solutions in, because there's always business transactions to do. We buy a company, we have to implement them, or we're going to sell someone, we have to divest them, and that would be the exact same thing. So we just got off of R2. We ran it for almost 25 years. We just got onto this. We will run it for 20 to 25 years as well. So it will run the entire company, and there will be, it's the platform will run a 60 billion plus company, and there will be no end to the needs for people with expertise in the space and challenging work for a long time. So second iteration of something we've already done before.
And so this slide's kind of just zoomed in on the North America and Europe timeline. Because I know this is something you guys might plan in class. It's real life. we have a timeline, we have deadlines. And we started with a solution fit to fit the requirements into a blueprint design for all the different aspects of the business. And then,
So it kind of follows that.
and while we
SAP
were
methodology.
doing a blueprint design, we were going live with milestone 3.
No, I was just going to say this is something that you guys are learning in your course. It's following that SAP methodology of where you do your requirements gathering, you do your blueprinting, gap and decision, and then you go live and support. So we followed a similar model for that with this implementation, and we will continue to follow that as we go on and support.
And so as we mentioned, the road's not over. We have lots of growth investments and opportunities with SAP. A couple of other projects going on right now is a joint venture with Saudi Aramco, forming Sadara. And also in North America, they have a Gulf Coast packaging and specialty plastics.
I was actually just going to bring this up, but when I saw that on the other one, like, it sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Right, that's, I'm glad you put that in Arabic too. So Dara, if I may take
Yeah, go
some
ahead.
time. So Dara is actually a very huge product, over in Saudi, specifically in the eastern part of Saudi Arabia, and it is the future when Saudi eventually run out of oil. So yes.
It's currently the largest ongoing build of a chemical plant in the world. Single build.
Slight correction. It will be it's the largest chemical manufacturing plant built at a single time ever in the world. So there might be other ones, but that are larger, but they were built over years. We started there; it was literally a pile of sand, and we're going to build the largest single manufacturing site at one time that's ever been built.
There's an interesting fact that I heard from this. It actually took, on site, it took them 16 busloads of bus drivers to move all the people from where they were building to where they were housing them. So,
16 busloads of bus drivers?
yes.
It's a true statement.
Yeah, I wish we had some pictures. It's pretty massive.
And there was a crazy one around chickens too. I don't remember what that was. Daily. I don't know.
Okay. And so with that not being recently new to Dow, we thought it might be beneficial to kind of talk about some of our new hire challenges, prizes, and the college transition from CMU life to Dow life. So kind of just right off the bat, something that was a challenge for me was the acronyms and the terminology. Kind of might have heard us say a couple acronyms. Now it's-
NEA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next enterprise architecture. So you'll jump into that. It's one of the major challenges that you have to learn the terminology. So it's not just the acronyms, but it's the day-to-day, the project tasks and things like that. What does that mean? Sure, it's English, but you don't understand it. Somebody explain, define this for me.
Yeah, that's what, when I first started, I had this huge spreadsheet of, every time I heard a new acronym, I'd ask what that meant, and we put it in my spreadsheet. And so I wasn't a morning person, so kind of the start time was an initial challenge for me, and some days it still is. But I had some great experiences being able to travel on the ECC implementation right off the bat, so that was something I was very grateful for. I got to go to Europe, I got to go to Texas, Indiana to work, hands-on with some of the other businesses and meet a lot of great people and start forming some great relationships in my network. And some days at Dow, we work 8 to 5. When we have some of these deadlines, you might be working a little bit later, or if something's broken, you might get called in the middle of the night.
Or on the plus side, if you get all your work done, maybe you take Friday off.
So that's something that's been really great is being flexible when issue or an appointment, you can do what you need to do.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll go. So, yeah, I just wanted to touch some of my challenges if I was kind of transitioning from the college life to work life terminology, so that was a big one. The second one was as a role organization, so sure, you come to college and you meet a bunch of new people, but then when you go into work and you start talking to people, and you're up in the morning, and then you kind of hand off stuff to Shanghai at night, you're like, wow, this is really crazy. And then you're in meetings with these people, and you're calling them, and you kind of deal with them for, could be months, could be even over a year, and you don't even know who they are, you never see their face. And then like Chelsea said, you get the opportunity to travel and you go and meet these people, so it's really interesting. You get to learn a lot of cultural differences, and so that's really nice. Documentation was a big one, so I wasn't very good at taking notes. I don't know, I was like that even in college, but I guess when you go in, they want you to document everything step by step. So that was a big one. College transition planning for the future. So career planning, something that you don't really think about. What do you want to do? That was really good at kind of mapping out where you want to go based on what you like and what you like doing. So that was a big change. Style of living. No more roommates, which I was getting sick of. I don't know. Maybe you guys are. Maybe you are. I mean, you can still have roommates. It's not a big deal. Right? You can still live in Mount Pleasant here and just kind of commute. It's really not that far. I thought about it, but I was ready to get out of here and try something new. So that was a big difference. And then workplace versus classroom. So speed and accountability and kind of fulfillment with your work. So sure, you guys are in project teams, but in the real life work environment, stuff is really coming at you. So you have to get it done, and you're accountable for those type of things. And also just the benefit of being an expert in something. So you'll dive right in. You won't know it at first, but you'll become that expert, and you'll be engaged enough, and people will start coming to you as the expert. So that's nice fulfillment when that starts to happen. Any questions? This is Mike's slide. We also have non-SAP IT related roles. So we have technology architecture, research and design, information technology. So it's a different part of IT. It's all encompassed in IT, but it's non-SAP focused. Operations, so ensure that everything from the Dow network to the internet, we have an internal intranet, is stable and working. That's kind of where I work now. Information security, so preserve the integrity of Dow. Dow is a chemical company. We do make things where you can't ship to certain countries because there's export control laws, things like that. And we also have intellectual property because we're an organization, so we don't want to just send out all of our crown jewel data to the world, and we got to make sure that's locked down. That's what that group does. Service management, so we ensure all Dow employees have the technology tools that they need to be productive. I guess that's more in the area that I'm working now. So the video collaboration space and all that new technology stuff that you think IT people are working in, that's kind of the service management area. Mike, I took your slide.
That's all right. I rudely walked out. So, go ahead and cover this one.
All right.
I'm just here for the pizza like
So we also have the student program. So we have the co-op program where students can alternate between periods of study and work. I actually work with a co-op on my team. So he comes in, he works half day Mondays, and then he's got class, and then he's there full day Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I think he's a half day Wednesday and maybe half day Friday. So there's some flexibility with that. And then we have the internship program, so it's a paid internship, and people come from all over, so it's not just limited to Michigan. I had actually an intern on the team I was working on too, and she was from somewhere in Louisiana, college. Remember where Christian was from?
Yeah, she went to.
Is it Mississippi?
She was either from Tulane or the University of New Orleans.
Okay. So yeah, that was really nice. And they have an old internship program where they work on projects and then they present at the end of their term. Go ahead, Chelsea.
So here's the information you might have been waiting for. We are doing some interviews on the 29th for full-time and intern positions. And the deadline to submit the applications is the 17th.
And that's at Career Services.
Yep, so you have to apply online at the careersatdow.com website. We have links, QR codes to those links for both intern and full-time. And then also on the CMU Career Services portal, you need to apply there as well.
Yeah, that's one thing I want to stress. If you want an interview or you think you want to apply for the interviews, you have to apply at Career Services because that's how we're going to schedule the interviews. So you have to do that one, and then to actually get hired, you have to apply at careersatdow.com. So they're both critical.
Yep, and so then after the 17th, I think they'll select who can sign up for time slot and
Yep. And then
29th.
the 29th is the interviews. That's when they're scheduled. Is that it? So I'm going to go back and keep that up. Question?
So what kind of minimum requirements are you looking for people who are looking to get an internship?
What do you mean?
So like what kind of like GPA, minimum kind of coursework that you'd like to see? You're not going to hire them like just a freshman or just completed.
Yeah, so I mean, like we like to have a sophomore or junior apply for the internship program. As far as GPA goes, I would have to look up the actual number. So we have all the information at Careers that out, so we can apply for it. There'll be all the requirements are listed there.
Yeah, I think the minimum GPA is from a corporate standpoint is a 2.7. The other thing I would say is for the SAP roles are you'd really like to have the TERP 10 certification.
Are there any opportunities for those who are looking to leave Michigan at Dow?
Yes, actually. So the rotational program, I guess we didn't really touch on that much. So the rotational program encompasses not just IS, so other functions within Dow, so supply chain, R&D, all that fun stuff, and then actually places outside of Indy. So I think there's Philly, Indy.
That's about it. From an
Is that
IT standpoint, the vast majority of the roles are in the U.S. are in the Midland, Saginaw area. We have an office in Saginaw as well. That's actually where I work out of. We have a smaller office in Southfield, although that's largely for contractors. There is a fairly sizable group in Philadelphia. In fact, the building is right downtown, right across from the Liberty Bell. It's kind of a unique location. Other than that, those are pretty much the locations in the U.S. There is a small, there's a group of maybe 20-ish type of people in Indianapolis at Dow AgroSciences. We have sites then in Shanghai, in China, and also some presence in India as well. From an IT standpoint, those are the primary sites.
So I saw you were TERP 10 certified up there. Not just from the perspective of, a recruiter can look at it and say, oh, TERP 10 certified, but from a personal standpoint, going into your job, how much, what you got out of TERP 10, how much do you think that helped you as far as on-job experience?
It was a huge benefit.
I mean, just learning all those business processes.
Yes. And getting familiar with it, because then when you jump in and you're kind of expected to kind of already know that kind of business process. I mean, everyone's you're gonna have to learn, but knowing the business process just already kind of gives you a step up. You know what they're talking about. So it's one of the pieces, like I was saying, in the terminology where you don't have to learn it. It's very little out there.
So it's a good head start.
Oh yeah.
This one's for Chelsea. Could you tell us what your day is like working on SAP in the FI module? Or your week even, maybe not your day.
What's that?
Or your week, maybe not just one day.
Well, right now we're doing project. So we're evaluating all of our different designs, and what custom configuration we might have done that needs to go on the next project.
Kind of depends on the phase of the project.
Exactly, yeah.
So where are you at? Because globally everybody's doing the same thing at the same time. All right, we're doing requirements gathering, and every team's doing that. So I just left my job back in April, so I'm still fairly. I'm sorry to jump in here.
Okay.
So yeah, like I was saying, every team's doing the same thing at the same time. So we're going to do requirements gathering, and then once that's done, we're going to do sign-offs, and we're going to get the experts to sign off and all the approvals in place. And then we're going to go in and, all right, these are the requirements, this is our solution, what are our gaps? So now everybody's working on gap and decision, getting those documents created, and then getting those approved. And then we go into the next step, which is, I think, the configuration, and then we do the testing. So a lot of it depends on the phase of the project we're in, and it's so huge that those phases can be months, or sometimes they're little like weeks, like implementation that kind of happens overnight. So it all depends on where you're at as far as what you're going to do in the milestone. And I think they've changed their releases now since the milestones are over. So
Yeah,
you get a
lot
variety
of
of.
Yeah, a lot of it's project based, but there's also some support in there as well. If we have support teams coming through that this job failed, we have to help investigate that. Or
Yeah, you're not coming in and doing the same thing over and over, which is nice. Keeps it fresh.
Another question, and this one's more format. Could you talk to us some more about requirement gathering? What do you do for that?
So it depends on the function or the business process. We meet with the business process experts, so we have actually non-IT people linked or grouped in the same piece as our IT folks, and we call them core teams. And what we do is we leverage their knowledge of the business or the function to understand the work process. And we take those down as requirements, and then we go to kind of the next higher level to get those approved. So it's really leveraging experts in the function or the business process and telling us what is needed by the system for them to do their job, and for other folks that they used to work with, kind of, because we bring them into the core team, what they need to do their job. So that's kind of our requirements guide.
so a lot of the times, they'll draw up the current work process and, okay, for this step, we need to input this. And at this step, we need to report on this, this, and this. And so whether
And
the
it
process
depends on
needs to
the
be-
expert too. Some of them can be more technical, so they know how the system works, so they can define the requirements more clear, and some not so much. They just give you a process. So you really have to go to work and figure out, all right, how are we going to make the system work to fulfill that requirement.
Thank you.
Was it a struggle getting used to gathering requirements, that whole process? I mean, is it hard to wrap your head around the actual?
Not really. No. Since they're a part of your team, these experts are a part of your team. I mean, you're working closely with them day to day, so you understand the requirements, and you modify them as you go. That way, they're fully defined, so that way you don't have any issues when you go to actually set up the system. You're like, oh well, they said the system should do this, and I have 3 different ways to do it, but they want this color or this kilogram versus pounds type of thing. So you really have to pull it out of them sometimes, because you're like, all right, I need more information. This is too vague. That's one of the key things that I think was sometimes an issue, was the requirements were too vague and the system that did all this. So
you talked about Sadara as the joint venture with Saudi Aramco. So is the IT the technical part of SAP, or the technical side? Are Dow Chemical and Aramco both kind of collaborating who's providing the technical part to Sadara, or is it more towards like their own people coming in and doing the SAP implementations?
So it's actually kind of a linked project to our Diamond systems. There's a separate group that's doing the implementation, and they're also training Sadara employees on the system. So they're actually going to run it themselves. It's not going to be Dow.
The Dow is providing the IT services to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me expand on that a little bit. So that's a little bit of a different, because normally you have a joint venture, this one's a 50-50 owned type of thing, and you'll have the joint venture is a separate company, and they'll go off and they'll pick a system integrator or whatever to build their systems. But as Chelsea said, in this case, Dow is marketed to the joint venture as one of the percent owners of it. We want to provide the IT services and solutions. And so we took our NEA solution that we built, we leveraged it, basically copied it. It's not 100% the same, but it's pretty similar. And we have deployed that, and we are hosting it at our data center in Midland right now. We did that for about the first year. Next year, we'll do a project called Lift and Transfer, which is basically we're going to take the environment and we're going to send it over to Saudi Arabia, and then the joint venture themselves are going to run, operate, maintain the solution going forward. So the point from a Dow as a stakeholder in the joint venture is we have a good solution, we know how to run a chemical company, we're going to provide that solution to the joint venture at a cost, but it's not really as a profit center for us to make money on it, it's for us to help the joint venture become profitable sooner. And then we benefit as being 50% more.
There's a question. Now, I happen to be an international student from Saudi Arabia, right? And I'm just a little curious about, applying for a job. Is there any specific position that are open or will be open for international student to be working abroad, say in Saudi, for example?
So I'll answer the question, and then I'm going to answer maybe an unasked question that's related to it.
Okay.
So from a Dow standpoint, I would say no, because the Dow jobs are here. We will travel as we're doing the transition to Saudi Aramco to assist with that. Longer term, Saudi Aramco is going to have needs, right? So if you're specifically looking for something in Saudi, that would be a possibility. Okay. As far as the international students, just the Dow corporate policy is we do not sponsor. You need to have the legal right to work in the U.S. We don't sponsor students or new hires for green cards or whatever the appropriate visas are to work here. Now, I did talk with a few students at the job career fair Friday, and there was a couple that were Chinese citizenship, and we have a group in China. If that person ever ends up going back, we can apply to our group in China as well. But that's a corporate policy. It's not an IT thing with international students.
Can you describe a little bit about the role of the information systems analyst? Like, I know you guys hinted, like a little bit about what that you guys do each and every day. But I mean, that position there, is there a certain field or anything that would be in? Besides you looking for, like one of the 4 things, or is it just one or the other, or what?
More towards the full-time position or
Yeah, the full-time.
Well, I think it would depend on what positions they have open. But I mean, Matt and I have the same role, but we were in completely different business processes. I was aligned to the finance organization, and he was aligned to EH&S. So it would kind of depend on what the opening and what the need was for. But you would be doing a lot of the same things, maybe just in.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
But is the question really more generically about what the role is like?
Yeah.
As long as you try to explain it from that standpoint as opposed to based on your experiences.
So generically, the role, because we all do the same tasks,
Right.
but we may not kind of follow the same. Generically, the role on a day-to-day, is that kind of what you're asking? Is to, one, it's to work with your business partners. 2, it's to kind of take, I guess you don't like take orders, but you get guidance from kind of a technical person that's senior to you. And then you would, generically, tasks. You would just work as part of a core team, implementing.
If that team needs a certain process put on a new software.
There you go.
Or if we're divesting a business and we need to get this data into a different system.
Yep.
I mean, it might just depend on
Depends on the
what
task.
projects are their need for IS resources.
So maybe I'm going to try to summarize.
Sure.
So,
It's tough to generalize.
Yeah.
so I think earlier they described some of the task-based things that they do on a daily basis. But if you think of it at the end of the day, what we do as a function for Dow Chemical Meet and what they do in their particular roles is we don't do IT because it's cool and because it's technically challenging. We do IT because it drives value to the business. And so if you look at in their roles, what they really kind of gave you examples of what they do is, in the work process that Chelsea's working in finance, understand what are the needs for the finance function at Dow in cost accounting. What is it we need to do? What are the business strategies around acquiring of a company or divesting of a company or implementing a new module or tailoring it to the work process? And understanding how do you take in this case, the SAP software, and how do you deploy that software in a value-added way to match and drive the business needs that Dow Chemical has. I mean, you describe tasks that allow you to do that, but at the end of the day, that's what they do in their roles. That's what I do in my role. I'm not, I'm not a finance or accounting. I'm not an I'm a tech geek, right? But my goal is I've got to be able to get my teams to get infrastructure in place so we can deploy these applications, and they'll perform, and they'll be highly available to the users, and so that's what we do as a function. Does that answer your question?
Perfect.
More questions?
Thank you. Bear with me for 2 seconds because I've had a chaotic day and I forgot something very important. Professor Tracy would be very mad if I didn't say it. The ERP Sim competition, which Dow sponsors a team, correct?
Two.
Well, Dow is sponsoring 2 teams. The ERP Sim competition, the registration for that is open. I have these really cool, fancy flyers with the sign-up information, a bunch of fancy statistics on the back. 40 companies are invited to sponsor 4 to 5 teams. It's going to be in McGurk Arena this year. So it's going to be a very cool. So if you ever want to say, I played at McGurk Arena while I was at Central, you don't have to say what you played. Just say that you played. It's going to be a really cool event, guys. They do lunch, dinner. You get to talk. You get to spend a lot of time with a lot of companies. I think it was Volkswagen. They were so impressed with their team. After the competition, they offered them all internships. They offered them all internships. So I mean, it's a fun time, guys. It's an awesome time. There's a couple prerequisite classes. If you want more information, talk to me. But please come and grab one of these and at least look over it. There's a $50, if you sign up before November 1st, we're giving away 2 $50 prepaid Visa cards. If you sign up before November 1st, you get a chance to win one of those. So definitely come up and grab one, and another round of applause for Dow. Thank you.